So my name is Artem Zadorozhny, or just Archie. I'm a PhD in applied linguistics. So it's been 5 years since I came to Hong Kong from Kazakhstan. I speak probably, I would say, three languages, which is Russian, my native language, English, my second language, and the third language is French. I know a little bit when it comes to Polish and Ukrainian, a little bit of Kazakh, but I'm far from being proficient. So yeah.
How would you describe yourself? Is it Kazakh? Is it Russian? Is it Russian Kazakh? What is?
It's it's a very complicated topic because when it comes to ethnicity and being affiliated to some country, it's always kind of difficult to say because it has a lot to do with the influence of USSR. So it's been a long period when Kazakhstan has been under the regime of Soviet Union. So I would say that I'm Russian, Ukrainian, Kazakhstani.
So for me, as a person who don't know much about Kazakhstan,
Sure.
it's very intriguing. That there are some who are kind of Kazakh, and there's who are like
Yeah.
Russian Kazakh.
Yeah.
Can you take us a little bit into what does that mean and how maybe each group experience Kazakhstan?
Oh, it's an interesting thing. So Kazakhstan is a bilingual country. So we have Russian language and Kazakh language as two official languages. So when it comes to the point when we have 80% of people who actually speak Kazakh and around the same amount of people who speak Russian. Not all of them speak both languages. So I would say that based on my perception, I'm not aware of the facts itself about the statistics because we just had new things published, but I would say 60% people would speak both languages. Again, the difference in the regions is quite drastic. So we have more people who are native Russian speakers in the northern part, and vice versa. People who are in the southern part, they speak more of the Kazakh. So I would say that both languages are used a lot, and I was very fascinated. So last time I was in Kazakhstan, it was probably 8 months ago.
Okay.
And I was fascinated by how much people switch between Kazakh and Russian languages.
Okay.
So when you're in taxi, it's very interesting to observe how both languages are mixed together and people try to use the words and so on. I'm not a Kazakh speaker, unfortunately, but I was able to understand many things, and it was very peculiar to observe these trends as a linguist.
Is this also bicultural?
Oh, I would say so, because we have many things which are very much intertwined together when it comes to, for example, religion holidays. So the majority of people from Kazakhstan, the Kazakhstani, they would define themselves as believers in Islam, but we also have quite a high population of Christians, but most of them are Orthodox. So we have around, I would say, based on my thinking and kind of beliefs, I would say that 20%, 25% of people would be Orthodox. And it's interesting because there are several holidays which are religious, but it depends on what it doesn't. So people would do both. So for example, we have in January a very famous part. So January is the coldest part. So we have a very drastic climate, especially when it comes to northern and central part. So, and there is a procedure, the Orthodox baptism, which involves people to actually jump into the water, so they basically break the ice on the lakes or on the rivers.
Yeah.
It's usually the coldest time of the year is like minus 30 or 40 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
And what people do, they plunge into the cold water to kind of renew. So in Orthodox religion is to renew their beliefs, like their connection to the God.
Okay.
But many Kazakhs would do the same because it helps them to kind of being reborn, I would say. And so we if we go to the river, to the lake, so there is this small hole, and people would plunge into water into minus 40 degrees Celsius, and both like Kazakhs, Russians, Koreans, German would do that. It's very common practice, and people actually like to do that. They say that it helps them to stay healthy the whole year.
Okay. Is it dangerous?
I mean, I never tried it myself,
Okay.
and probably I wouldn't be that brave to do that
Okay.
because I'm afraid of cold, and for me, climate of Hong Kong is kind of, it feels a little bit better here, honestly.
Okay.
It's the climate is a little bit better in the southern part where it's not that cold, but it's kind of dangerous. But at the same time, it's not, because they're usually lakes, so they kind of construct, they scaffold everything so that you kind of hold something, and then you plunge into the water and you come back, and it kind of feels pretty good, they say. So you kind of feel like a small scale rebirth or something.
I see. Okay, that one is very interesting. Okay, that's a relation. What else? Okay.
I mean, if we talk about cuisine in general, we also have many things which mixed together. So one of the most common Kazakh dishes is besh barmak. So it's basically called bes barmak. As far as my Kazakh language knowledge allows me to judge, it's connected to 5 fingers because you eat it with hands. So it's basically the dough, meat, onion, and meat is usually very diverse. So we don't only have beef, we also have sheep meat or horse meat.
Oh yeah, I heard
So,
about this
or horse sausages, for example. And so I would say that based on, I have friends who are ethnically Kazakh, ethnically Ukrainian, ethnically Russian or Korean. All of them, they love besh barmak. So it's a traditional Kazakh cuisine, which is amazing and which tastes, it's amazing. It's like if you go to Kazakh wedding, for example,
Yeah.
you would definitely see it there, and you would definitely try it there. It would be in the center of the table. So, and also we have quite a lot of influence of USSR and from Russian cuisine when we have, for example, a very posh and fancy idea for New Year's Eve is to buy red caviar. So almost on every table, of course, if you can afford it, but usually people try to save a little bit to get it on the table. So you will have red caviar. And this is traditionally considered as more as a Russian influence. But we also have quite a number of different salads which become popular. So, for example, we have French called salad Olivier. So, which is not French at all. So it's basically it's potatoes, carrots, pickled cucumbers, sausages, so and a lot of mayo. So we have these salads which are not exactly affiliated to some particular culture, but everyone practices that and everyone loves that and everyone does it. So I would say that culturally wise, it's the same. So we have different holidays. We have Nowruz, which is considered to be the holiday, as far as I remember, of the spring. It's in March. And we have many, let's say, Kazakh games which are played in the centers of the cities and so on. And with the same vibe, we have celebrations which would be connected to, I don't know, as I said, to baptism. So people would recognize as well the Russian Orthodox Christmas, which happens a little bit after Catholic Christmas, so it's in January. So it's the difference between probably around 12 days, as far as I remember, or 13. So it's, as far as I remember, it's a public holiday. So people would celebrate that as well. So it's a continuation of New Year's Eve festivities and all that. What else? We have a couple of things which are quite. So initially, when we talk about the Kazakhstan, Kazakhs were nomads, which involved a lot of moving back and forth. So that's why we have a couple of traditional dishes which could be easily moved from one place to another. So let's say we have curd, which is, as far as I remember, it's fermented milk. I'm not sure whether it's horse or sheep milk,
Okay.
but you kind of make the balls out of it, which are very salty. And it's a very good snack. It's very delicious. It's very salty. You can eat it with beer. You can eat it just like that.
Okay.
So that part is kind of the inherited from nomadic culture, because you can actually bring it anywhere and it will not be spoiled for a very long time. So yeah. I mean, what you need to know about Kazakhstani culture in general is that we consume a lot of meat.
Okay.
So it's have to think on a table. So I have had a couple of foreign friends who came to Kazakhstan to study or to work, and they were vegetarians.
Yeah.
And it was quite a problematic part to find vegetarian things around, because you can find meat everywhere.
Okay.
But with vegetarian things, they were, well, again, I left Kazakhstan for probably like 5 years ago or so. So that time it was quite complicated to find non-meat-based things and all that. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's a quite common thing, but it's kind of spread around the year. You can just go to the shop and buy it anywhere. So yeah.
So you were talking about the difference between the north and south. Is Kazakhstan that big? What is the area, the surrounding countries?
Okay, that's a very good question. So Kazakhstan actually the ninth biggest country in the world.
Okay.
So it's quite big, and it has the biggest border, as far as you remember, with Russia. It has quite a big border with Uzbekistan, and it has border with China and a couple of other countries such as Kyrgyzstan. And what is interesting is that the population of Kazakhstan, so recently we have had new demographics. So it's almost 20 million people. So 20 million people living in the ninth biggest country in the world.
Yeah.
So can you imagine? Okay, can you guess
Yeah.
what is the density of population in Kazakhstan for 1 square kilometer?
Ah, damn. 5 to 10.
Kind of so, 7 people. Now the question to you: do you know the density of population in Hong Kong?
Oh man, like something around 1,000.
7,000 people for 1 square kilometer. So that's why when I'm in Hong Kong, I'm lacking space all the time, because I'm used to having very wide streets with no crowds. It's very easy to go from one place to another, and so yeah.
Maybe last question about Kazakhstan.
Sure.
Generally, what fascinates you the most
Food.
about Kazakhstan?
Sure. So, okay, so there are many things that actually people do not know about Kazakhstan. I'm very excited usually to share them because it fascinates me. So, I will just go randomly about the facts, and you can just choose whatever you like.
Okay.
So, one fact is that music industry is booming right now. So there are more and more people from Kazakhstan, the singers, who become very popular. So one of the examples is Dimash Kudaibergenov. So he was the superstar at Hunan TV in China. So he actually became famous there. Then he went to one of the shows in the USA, which was led by Gordon Corbin. So this guy, and so he got to semifinals, and he was the second place winner back in Chinese show. Okay. We also have Iman Beck, who recently won Grammy for his remix of, do you know the song Roses of St. John?
The DJ?
Yeah, he's Kazakh.
Yeah, it's just so iconic.
Yeah, the interesting fact about the guy that he works at the train station. So he works there, and it was his hobby, so he just created it just for fun, and suddenly he got Grammy for that.
It's a masterpiece, man. It's an amazing one.
It's an interesting piece of music.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So we also have rap industry, which is becoming very popular these days. We have many rappers which are becoming popular. One of them is Kryptonite. So he has pretty good lyrics, and when it comes to the content of the songs, because he kind of tries to represent many things in his own life, but he actually had the duet with one of the guys from Massive Attack, Tricky. So they got sung together a couple of years ago. Check it out, it's pretty good. And that's an amazing one. So we have booming rap industry, and we have video producers a lot. So we have very beautiful videos of Irina Kayratovna. We have videos of Jack Calip. We have some other guys. We have rap battle culture, which is developing at the same time too. So, and it's interesting because it happens both in Russian and Kazakh languages again. So it's kind of a both things at the same time. We also have quite a lot of, when it comes to different natural resources. We are the first country in the world, the producer of uranium. So that's probably interesting fact as well.
Okay. First one. Okay.
And one of the interesting things that happens a lot in Kazakhstan that we change names of the streets, names of the cities. So the capital of Kazakhstan right now is called Astana, but the capital of Kazakhstan has been actually renamed 5 times. during a very short period of time. So first it was called Tselinograd. It was basically based on the Virgin lands revitalization when it was the period of USSR. It was Akmola, which actually translates as White Tomb. Then it was Astana, then it was Nur-Sultan, now it's again Astana. So 5 times we changed the name of our capital. Well, Kazakhstan is also famous. We recently, not many years ago, we had international exhibition Expo 2017, which was a huge event back in the capital. So check it out. The pictures are amazing. Check the globe, the small spherical object. As far as I remember, it's one of the biggest spherical objects in the world. So that's quite a famous part of our country as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Good. Okay. Now for your life in Hong Kong.
Sure.
Here, living in Hong Kong for 5 years.
Yeah.
What is the biggest conclusion or observation you gathered about life in Hong Kong and people of Hong Kong?
Okay. Well, I would say that it's one of the safest places I've ever been to. So I don't remember being or feeling that safe if I go somewhere around the nighttime or daytime in any part of the city, in the mountains, for the hike, swimming in the sea. I always feel safe. So I do not even question this part of my life. I kind of enjoy the winter time. I never thought that I would ever enjoy winter time, because winter time for me is associated with snow, cold, bronchitis, different illnesses. So for me, it's I never been sick in Hong Kong almost. So that's one of the things that I enjoy. When it comes to the density of population, that's a reverse. I'm not exactly enjoying that. So for me, it's very hard to find solitude sometimes. So sometimes it would require me to go for night walks instead, just because I feel kind of more space around me. Same applies if I go to some restaurant or coffee shop, is the same. I would prefer to go on a weekday rather than on a weekend. So I prefer to spend my weekends actually somewhere at home and go in for drinks and so on during the weekdays. So that's the difference. Is I kind of switched my party cycles, I would say. What else? One of the interesting observations which I have is that since I'm living in a completely new environment, I use English the most, French the second, and I almost never use my native English or my native language, Russian. So I almost never meet any Russian-speaking people in Hong Kong randomly. It happens very rarely, and it usually leads to some discussion or communication or to be in friends and so on. So I didn't expect that I will not have exposure to Russian language to that extent. What else? Proximity to different countries to travel. So I used to live in a very big country, which is where it's comparatively easy to travel from one city to another, but when it comes to traveling to other countries, it's quite a hectic process. So, and I'm still having this anxiety when I need to travel from Hong Kong to some other country. Even when I go back to Kazakhstan, I feel a lot of this anxiety when it comes to going back somewhere. It's a very long distance, but at the same time, it's very convenient to live in Hong Kong because you have many countries around which you can access. So that's a very wonderful point, and it's pretty cheap as well. So it's a lot cheaper than coming back home, unfortunately. And the last thing that I actually noticed in comparison to my hometown or in general to the country is that there are a lot more possibilities to enjoy different types of sport. So in Kazakhstan, of course, my favorite type of sport is football. So I would spend some time playing football with my friends. When I was a kid, I was doing it. So, but in Hong Kong, I discovered new things. I discovered squash. I discovered table tennis. I discovered just regular tennis. Hiking was never a thing for me. So the first time I went to hike was actually in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So, and the climate, I guess it has a lot to do with the climate because it actually provides many possibilities to practice sports during the year, annually, like all the time. So that is why I would say that this changed a lot in my life since I came to Hong Kong. I became more active generally.
Okay, so for this next segment, it's called In Few Words.
Okay.
So I'll ask you a few things, try to answer them in few words.
Okay, sure.
So, as a teacher, how would you describe teachers? What is a teacher?
Teacher is definitely not the vessel of the knowledge. It's a transmitter. It's not a few words, but teacher is the guide to knowledge, not the source of the knowledge.
What is the best compliment you've ever got in your life?
That I look like Leonardo DiCaprio.
If you could spend a day with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh wow! I think I would go with Sadhguru. So he's a spiritual leader. So I would say I would spend a day with Sadhguru just to meditate together and learn a couple of practices, because it's a very necessity, especially when you live in a big city as Hong Kong.
That's good. Do you have a quote that you live by as a mindset?
Loyalty is a two-way street. You give it to me, I give it to you.
I love it. That's good. Define Hong Kong in few words.
Crowded, diverse. I mean, it's quite picturesque, so I will go with picturesque.
That's good. And of course, last one is define Kazakhstan in few words.
Home. Home.
That's good. I like that. Home, and then it's home. Okay, I like it. Perfect, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so for people who want to find you, people who want maybe to connect with you, where they can find you?
Oh yeah, so if you're into talking about my research activities connected to language learning activities, if you are into applications and digital applications for learning languages and other things like that, go to archie.arrivederci. And yeah, so that was Archie. Arrivederci.
Perfect. Okay. Man, thank you so much.